I
for
think we
that
both
sweet
know what men are
romance.
like.
Meet again.
The show was written so that it took place in Hodgkinsville, Kentucky, where Lincoln was born, and then in New Salem, Illinois. The first opening was all interior because it was Washington, D.C., it was the capital, and it was the Ford's Theater where he was assassinated, the box that he was sitting in, and so on. In order to facilitate matters, since I was shooting all the stuff that I've just described, the assassination, the Capitol, the play, and all that kind of thing, and the birth of Lincoln. That was Marion Seldes played the mother and Crane Denton the father. And then I was going out to New Salem to do the rest of the episodes. Richard DeRoseman said to me, I know a young fellow. He's only 21, he works for Look magazine. Or had worked for them, as a still cameraman. If you okay a picture he made, the work on it, we could hire him to go down to Hodgkinsville, where there was a lot of second unit work to do, which didn't involve any dialogue, really. Just involved background and slaves and so on, people in a wagon. I said, okay, let's see this picture. So arrived Stanley Kubrick with a picture he made called, I think, Of Love, I don't know, some fear and some kind of pretentious title. It was written by Howard Sackler. And I looked at the picture, Kubrick sitting there, very dark, age 21, and it was beautifully shot. He himself had operated the camera and directed it. The picture was not good, but the visual qualities were very strong. And I said to DeRoseman, very good choice. Send him down there.
Little Abe Lincoln and his sister Sarah shared a pallet up in the loft. Downstairs, at the far end of the cabin's one meagerly furnished room, on a bed made of poles and rope, Tom and Nancy Lincoln had their sleeping quarters. A woman gets up first on a farm. It's her job to get each day underway. And since she's apt to be the first thing in motion, she's the person a child looks at first and keeps looking at longest. Abe was the kind of little boy who constantly watched his mother and tagged after her. Probably the chief memories Abe Lincoln had of his mother during their short life together were of watching her at work, watching the person he loved most in the world go through the grave, unconscious, immemorial rituals of a woman taking care of her home. There was a profound peacefulness about all such work. Even more peaceful was the little space of quiet at the end of a day's work, between supper time and sleep, when the family was all at one.
the second unit was sent down to Hodgkinsville, Kentucky, where there was the cabin, Lincoln surrounding, and so forth. With him was Marion Seldes and Crane Denton for some of this while I shot other stuff. And they sent me clippings of interviews with Kubrick where he described what he was doing with the picture. I found it very amusing because the indication was that he was making the picture. And as I said to someone, with an ego like this, nothing will ever stop him. It didn't even matter what the quality of the work was going to be, which indeed turned out well, but it was his picture.
Loud the winds wail, loud the waves roar, thunder clouds rend the air. Baffled our foes, they stand on the shore, follow they will not dare. Speed, bonny boat, like a bird on the wing, onward the sailors cry. Carry the lad that's born to be king, over the sea to sky.
He then came out to New Salem, and he asked me if I would like for him to stay and he would be of help. But on the basis of the clippings, I said, no, thank you. And that was my first meeting with him. Later on, he made a couple of movies before he ever really caught on, small movies, and he wanted me to be in them. And in one of them, particularly about taxi dancers, I think he made that. But I turned him down because I asked him if it was an SAG, a Screen Actors Guild movie, and he said no. And I said, well, I couldn't do it. It would have been nice to have done it, but you can't.
So the time came when Nancy Lincoln looked her last at the best she was ever going to know. The Lincoln family set out towards the north, towards the wide Ohio River, towards the free state of Indiana, where land was yours practically for the asking, and where there were no slaves to trouble men like Tom Lincoln or children like his son. There in Indiana, there began a new kind of life, the life of backwoods pioneers. Kentucky may have been primitive by certain standards. It was high civilization compared to this. But they had a real foothold at last. But there are troubles that can't be settled by an axe or a plow.
Nancy? Where the young'uns?
School?
I told you about that. Told you what I'd do. You sent them off behind my back.
Yes, Tom.
You know, I got nothing against learning, Nancy. You know that. Wish I could read and write myself. But how's a boy going to learn to work lollygagging around the schoolhouse every time I want? Gal, too, for the matter of that. Answer me.
Is These things mean more than work.
What does? Answer me that. What does?
Oh, yes, I did run into him in England. He was living in England, and I was over there producing a series called Journey to the Unknown. And I ran into him at the studio we were shooting at Boreham Wood. He had headquarters there or something. And I ran into him, and we had a nice chat, and that was it.